Welcome back to another episode of Mom's Basement. This has been an exciting week of free agency. What do you think, Ryan?
There's been a lot of shockers to me.
A lot of big ones. A lot of big moves that I was honestly shocked. This episode, guys, we're going to talk about the top 5 teams that made the biggest impact so far in the draft. And this is as of middle of March. So this is probably going to change after the draft, and we will have another top 10 for you.
Yeah.
And we'll probably tell you the rankings of each team right after the draft anyway. So this is what we got. The biggest impact so far. Who do you think the team that stood out the most, Ryan?
It's always Philadelphia to me.
Philadelphia.
Signing Saquon, getting some replacements for the people that retired. I think getting Saquon is huge for them. You still have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the outside. They never really had that bell cow running back. They had Swift last year, but I think Saquon Barkley is a huge upgrade from Swift.
Look, Saquon's good, but Saquon's old.
No, he's not.
Saquon is up there.
He's like 26.
For a running back, that's pretty old. I mean,
as the Vikings just signed 30-year-old Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, that was a bad move for the Vikings, I think. He's also injury-prone and heavily injury-prone. I think Saquon for the Eagles was, I don't know if I would rate that in the top 5.
Saquon Barkley's 27.
Yeah, 27.
27. That's still old for a running back, though.
And they got Bryce Huff as an edge rusher. They re-signed Brandon Graham. They got a couple other linebackers to help that struggling defense at the end of the year. I think Philadelphia is going to be back next year.
Their defense was decent. Something happened in that locker room, and I don't think it was their players. Their players were top-notch starters, obviously, in the NFL, and really good players. Something happened. Whether it was a coaching, whether something in the locker room happened that nobody knows.
Granted, the loss of leaders like Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox both retiring, that's going to hurt them, but I think they're going to be all right next year.
Do you see them potentially winning the division with these moves so far?
Yes.
See, I don't have them in the top 5 right now. My number one biggest impact were the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I didn't even have them in the top 5.
Really?
Nope.
Adding Russell Wilson. I mean, yeah.
Russell Wilson's got to prove it to me. He's got to prove it for me before I even consider that a good move.
And look, honestly, signing Russell Wilson, everybody's like, well, he was trash in Denver. He had to sit the last 2 games because they didn't want to win didn't want to win. They could have obviously made the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that was just Sean Payton being an egotistical jerk.
Yep, and then the Patrick Queen. Those 2 people right there you see on the TV make them probably the best contenders right there.
Patrick Queen was a good signing for them to line him up with T.J. Watt. Their defense was strong before. I still sold that they need to work on offense. I don't think Russell Wilson's the answer. I think they need more weapons. That's just my opinion.
2 big pieces, but this is part of your top 5?
Yep, this is part of my top. This was big for the offseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't see this coming. This is probably why it was shocking to me, and this is probably why they're in my top 5, is because I didn't see Pickett being not the Steelers quarterback. I thought maybe he would be one more year, but I thought for sure they were going to ride with him.
They play in the toughest division in football, in my opinion. So
almost every free agent quarterback was linked to the Steelers.
Yeah,
every single one.
I mean, it's an upgrade. Let's not fool ourselves. Pickett wasn't the greatest quarterback, but again, like Ryan said, they played in the toughest division, and I mean, development style of their coach. I'm blanking on his name. I don't know why.
Mike Tomlin.
Thank you. It just seems like he doesn't give up on the rookies that fast, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do when your division is pretty ugly. Put that veteran back there and see if Pickens can't do any better with him. See if he's got really good hands. Maybe they'll get another wide receiver here pretty soon to help out on the other side. I know there's several wide receivers, but in the division that want to be out of
Calvin Ridley
would
watch out.
They don't necessarily have to draft or go for wide receiver in free agency. Their wide receiver class is deep this year in the draft, so
100%.
They can get one.
And that's why I think that by these moves, Pittsburgh really had the biggest impact so far.
I might move them up after their draft, depending on how their draft goes. But I mean, they're not in the bottom 5 by any means for me. But
no,
I think
definitely they're not even in the top 5 for you right now.
No, they're not.
Oh wow! All right, who's your next?
My next might surprise you, but I'm going with Las Vegas.
Really, they were one of my honorable mentions. They didn't do too bad.
Lining up Christian Wilkins with Max Crosby, that's going to be really tough to block.
That's going to be so cool.
The weirdest one, I like it, but I don't know if this is the best thing for him. But the Gardner Minshew, I know he's gonna.
He is gonna soak in being a Raider. I am telling you, he's probably so happy.
Gardner Minshew in Vegas.
He's probably so happy.
But here's the thing: is he even gonna start over Nick Mullins?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Nick Mullins didn't do bad though.
Who is Nick Mullins?
He came in at the end of the year and just.
That
he
was
had a-
McConnell.
he had a
Who is Nick
season.
Mullins?
That was AJ McConnell, wasn't it? Or what's his name?
Oh, whoever the young kid was that looked like Babyface. I thought it was
Zach
Nick
Wilson?
Mullins.
No, it wasn't Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins was the backup quarterback for the 49ers. Or used to be. I'm not sure who he is. Where he's at now, but it's not Nick Mullins.
He was pretty sure he was a Viking.
Was he a Viking?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Last year?
Yeah, he was a Viking. Yeah, he
I
was a
swear I
Viking
looked
last
this
year.
He
up,
was.
man. I swear I looked this
We had
up.
the Pastronaut, Nick Mullins, that
Because
BYU rookie, and
one of the 8 quarterbacks that
Oh,
started.
Aiden
Yeah.
O'Connell. I don't know what
Aiden
I
O'Connell.
saw.
There you go. Aiden O'Connell.
Aiden O'Connell. That's
I couldn't
Dude, I don't
remember his
know what-
name.
he's got a cool mustache. But you know who else has a better mustache?
that's true.
Gardner freaking Minshew, man.
Gardner Minshew's going to teach him how to grow that stash. But again, can you honestly say he's going to be the starter?
Yes.
You think so for sure?
Yes.
Yes, he made the
100%.
Pro Bowl.
100%.
They don't have anybody except for
He made the
Gardner
Pro Bowl.
Minshew.
Oh my.
The only way he's not which he still might be the starter, is if they trade up in the draft to get one of the 3, which I don't think they will.
No, there's no way. They're
I
gonna
don't
wait
think
for
they will.
next year.
That's
They're
going
gonna
to
wait
be the
till
greatest
next
combo. Devontae Adams and Gardner Minshew. Look out.
year. Dude, look out! Las Vegas is party city.
All right, my next one that might shock you, I think, is the Washington Commanders.
Really?
They've done some work.
They have.
They are. I think I sent you a video of Colin Cowherd saying that they're going to win the division this year.
That's not
I
happening.
honestly wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either with the way the Cowboys are working and the way the Eagles are on the downswing.
They got a bunch.
They got a bunch of money to spend. They got Marcus Mariota, which could be a really good backup if they don't get
and they got the number 3 pick.
Yep, if they don't pick up a quarterback. And then Austin Eckler was a huge signing for him.
Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz,
Zach Ertz,
he is getting up there too. I don't know if that would be maybe a notable, but that gives them a good tight end next to.
They still got Scary
Logan
Terry,
Thomas.
so
Yeah. And then,
what happens if Washington sticks? Who they just drafted or signed Mariota, right?
Yep.
What happens if Washington sticks with Mariota and takes Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 3, and you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Terry McLaurin on the outside?
Because who's their Sam
With
Howell?
Austin Eckler.
Sam Howell. I think they still kind of like him, right?
I mean, he didn't do bad, but he never really progressed.
He had 1 year. He had
Yeah.
1 year.
He had 1 year.
Because I'm not sold that Washington might not take a quarterback in this draft.
No, signing Marcus Mariota might give you the potential that they might move back. Honestly, they might keep, like you said, Sam Howell. Now, here's a crazy scenario. I'm just throwing this out there just for discussion. They could trade back the number 3 pick to the Minnesota Vikings, who want a quarterback.
That'd be
But
creamy.
you know who wants out of Minnesota? Justin Jefferson.
He does not.
Yeah.
No, he
no.
doesn't.
He was
He
not.
want no.
I
he
could see
doesn't.
him leaving, and I could see that being a trade for the number 3 pick.
I
I could
It's
see
going to take
no
a.
way.
I think
Maybe a
it's going
little
to
bit
take
more.
a
It's
lot.
gonna take. We want all of the first 3 picks. Then it's gonna be a 4-team trade, and we want all first 3 picks.
I think Justin Jefferson is going to require, he's going to require a new contract wherever if he does get traded, and whoever trades for Justin Jefferson is probably going to have to give up 3 once.
We still have this entire next year to get a deal done with Justin.
yeah,
And that's true. But you know who has the cap space to do it right now is your Washington Commanders. Just throwing
mean-
that out there.
you can't argue with cap space, but I just don't see it happening.
I mean, it was just thrown out there because
Yeah.
I'd be the first one to say it. So
The trade seems interesting, but Justin Jefferson won't be a part of that. I mean, he is literally the only thing we
So
have.
if
right
they
now.
traded with Minnesota, who would they get? Who do you think that would be in that package?
they'd get 11. They'd get
They get a 1,
Who
maybe
knows?
next year and a 2 the year following.
and
maybe?
also looking at this Washington stuff, they got a bunch of stuff. It's like all we can really give them is like picks, unless they take their pick of people that we want. But it would have to be it'd be picks.
Or could this be a Marvin Harrison Jr. number 3?
No, but I think they're gonna still take or an offensive lineman. I don't know.
Not
It
at
depends
3.
on how
You
much.
could trade
It depends
back
on
for
how much
cap.
they like Sam Howell. But there's the whole Cliff Kingsbury, Caleb Williams stuff. So
yeah, it depends because they're number 2.
they're 2, not 3?
No,
They're 2.
I thought New England was 2.
New England's 3.
4.
New England's 3, right?
3?
Arizona's 4.
Whatever. It's around.
You have it written down.
I have it written down somewhere. Oh yeah, Washington's 2, New England's 3, Arizona's 4.
Okay, so the number 2 pick. That's, whew.
Yeah, they're probably gonna keep that.
Yeah.
or at least not trade it with the Vikings. Maybe somebody else.
If they're not taking a quarterback, you got to trade back. That's the thing. We need to move on though because we're getting on to the top 5 here.
Yeah.
So you have so far number 1 as
Philly. Number 2 is Las Vegas.
Okay. What's your number 3?
After today's news, I liked what Baltimore's doing.
That was huge. That was a big. That's going to make a defense more important in that division than anything else in that. Derrick Henry signing was probably the most notable of the whole.
They lost Patrick
signing.
Queen to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Derrick Henry with that Baltimore.
Do you think that Baltimore had a bigger impact than the Steelers? You put the Steelers not in the top 5 just because Derrick Henry went there doesn't. I mean that makes him better, but you have,
I mean,
this is Ryan's opinion.
yeah, but he also mentioned Queen leaving, and he went to the Steelers.
yeah, but Baltimore needs something to get over that hump. Like I think Derrick Henry in the running game will help him get over the hump because they
Losing Queen though.
They didn't do that in the playoffs. They just abandoned it for some reason.
Yes. Now, I mean, obviously they're going to focus more on the running game, but is that going to put more of the ball on the running game with Lamar Jackson too, doing more options?
I mean, they still got Mark Andrews. They still got Zay Flowers. So.
Is this going to be
likely
injury-prone Lamar Jackson this year because of the run game?
I don't think they're going to be running Lamar as much with Derrick Henry. I think it'll be more straight handoffs.
This could be the team that brings back the option. Oh, man, I've been waiting for that. All right, my number 3 is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jacksonville, huh?
Yeah.
Good old Gabe Davis.
That's 100%, I think, why I think so. But Jacksonville, man, they
Oh yeah, they got Mac Jones.
There you go, the replacement. I told you. But they also got Mitch Morrison. They got Mitch.
No one's ever going to hear that episode.
All 9 people will. Mac Jones. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Because we didn't post that. I'm still thinking Trevor Lawrence isn't the answer in Jacksonville, but we'll see after this year. I bet he gets benched for Mac Jones.
If Mac Jones ends up starting for Jacksonville this year, they're going to have a top 5 pick.
Yep. Look what they did to the offense, though. Blake Hentz, Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse. Man, Mitch Morse, heck of a center. I mean, he's been great when he was in Pittsburgh, and then he went to Baltimore or to Buffalo.
Yeah.
And now he's in Jacksonville.
They
signed Josh Allen too, which is great. He got the franchise tag, so they're gonna obviously sign him, which that's exactly what they need to do. That's exactly what we said they needed to do.
The only concern I have about the Gabe Davis signing is like some games in Buffalo. Sometimes when he was in Buffalo, he would just disappear and not have any catches, not have any targets. And there's other games where he'd have, 9-10 receptions and 2 touchdowns. Is he going to fill that role and be more consistent like Calvin Ridley was last year?
Well, here's the thing. Gabe Davis could be a number 3 wide receiver there. He doesn't have to be the number 2. And that gap between Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis made Gabe Davis have to step up 10 times harder than he actually is.
Who's the number 2
good.
in Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, you got Christian Kirk, and then you got Calvin Ridley's.
Calvin Ridley's probably gone.
But you got Agnew. I mean, Agnew and Gabe Davis, I think, are very similar. They could split the 2 in the 3 spot all day long. And then with ETN, I mean, ETN being able to catch
shoring up that offensive line with these signings. So
yeah.
Evan Ingram's still there too. So
Evan Ingram. I mean, we in Buffalo we had tight ends, so that Gabe Davis standpoint doesn't really help what I'm trying to say that he's actually worth it. But I think the gap between your number 1 to your number 3 are very similar. That Gabe Davis could be their number 1, but so can Christian Kirk and Agnew. And even if they bring Ridley back, all 4 of those guys could be number 1 wide receivers, which is very hard for a defense to cover those guys. When you have a big gap like the 1 and the 2, it's easy for defenses to cover.
Do you think
that's why he disappeared?
Do you think Calvin Ridley's coming back?
I think if they get him at the hometown price, yes.
I don't think he's coming back.
Again, at the hometown price, that would have to be a discount. I think he's going to get paid somewhere else, though.
Yeah.
All right, you're number 4.
I don't want to admit this, but the Houston Texans.
Wow.
They've filled a lot of holes. They got their every down back and Joe Mixon. I mean, he's not
punter.
The punter.
Tommy Townsend.
They got some defensive line. They got a ton of corners to help them out.
Yeah, yep.
Their corners were weak last year, and they got some corners in free agency to help them out. They got D'Amico Archery. He used to be a Colt and Titan. He can fill up the middle on the defensive line.
Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz signed. I mean, I I don't want to admit it as a Colts fan, but I like what they're doing this offseason.
Yeah, I think Joe Mixon's iffy. Honestly, I would have taken Singletary over Mixon, but once Singletary signed elsewhere, I guess Joe Mixon was the last one left.
I mean, they still got Damian Pierce out there, but I don't know.
We thought Saquon was going here.
Yeah, we did.
This would have been a better fit for Saquon, I think, than Philly.
Yep. I think he went to Philly just so he could play New York twice a year.
Well, he's also from Pennsylvania, which
Yeah.
is school at Penn State.
Yes.
So.
That, and they're probably more Super Bowl contended than the Houston Texans are right now.
Yeah, it might be a dang old tie. It really might be a dang old tie.
You're right. Well, let's see how, now that there's film on.
Let's see how C.J. Stroud plays his second year.
Yep. That's kind of what I'm feeling about Jordan Love. Not high hopes on these guys yet until that second, third year.
Who's your number 4, Ben?
I actually had Ravens at number 4, so we don't have to go back there.
Nope.
Number 5.
Number 5, I have the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I can see that. I had them just outside.
Okay. See, I had the Giants just outside the number 5. It was hard to pick. I couldn't tell if I wanted to add the Ravens or not, but I did because Derrick Henry is probably outweighing everybody that's been signed so far.
Yeah.
But the Kirk Cousins, I think, is huge over there.
I mean, if Kirk Cousins would have been on Atlanta last year, they would have won that division easily.
I think Mooney helps with the height over there, adding Kyle Pitts and
Drake London.
London.
Bijan.
Bijan.
And they actually got a coach.
Monster.
They actually got a coach that will probably use Bijan the right way this year. So.
And I honestly think they'll let Kirk cook. I mean, you're going to see – I loved him in Minnesota being all cocky with the chains and everything. This is going to be a different Kirk Cousins we're going to see over here. Sad skull for Cody.
Nope.
Nope.
That move could have probably
Glad we cut that chain.
I bet you this move probably won the Falcons the division this year.
Yeah, I could see the Falcons winning the division next year. So.
All right, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Trading for Jerry Jeudy. They signed Nyheim Hines, and they re-signed Zadarius Smith on their defense, which is a big addition to re-sign them. And as long as Deshaun Watson stays healthy this year, I think Cleveland can do some damage.
So we don't show that Nyheim Hines actually got up on that trade block or on that signing.
Yeah, he signed. It literally just happened a few hours ago, so
Okay,
it probably hasn't quite.
And not to mention the biggest signing that they got. Big Dubs, Jameis Winston.
Oh yeah, that
Jameis
was
Winston.
huge.
Team
Headlines.
morale just went up. He'll massage Deshaun. He don't care as long as they win.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Jameis Winston's kind of like a Sam Darnold. He hasn't really had time to prove himself. He hasn't had an opportunity to prove himself. Maybe Jameis Winston.
How many years
has.
did he have in Tampa?
Yeah.
And New Orleans, kind of? I mean,
Yeah, but
God.
when he was in Tampa, he was again. This is going to come from a fantasy stat. I had him at my number 1 quarterback in fantasy because he was throwing for 500 yards a game.
Yeah, but
And 500 picks.
the
Well-
year after he left Tampa and Tom Brady came in, Tampa won the Super Bowl. So with the
That's
same
Tom
team.
Brady. Tom Brady's a different animal. Tom Brady's also beaten the Colts so many times too. So
Oh, and Buffalo. So if you want to go there,
we're 33. He's 33-3 against Buffalo. Heck yeah. I'm saying he's still the greatest quarterback, but all right.
we're
Any
getting off
honorable
topic.
mentions? Any honorable mentions you want to do?
I said my honorable mention.
Okay, I had a couple. I had the Bills on there as an honorable mention, just because of their cap space.
Make a cap space.
I mean, with their cap space, we got some of our younger guys back that we really enjoyed having on
Yeah.
the team, like Taylor Rapp and Espinoza. Those are the 2 biggest ones that I think we've signed, and we've added some O-line help too, which
Josh
is
Allen
huge.
restructured. He got $17 million today
mean,
as opposed to over the next year.
Yep.
If we're going to be homers, I like the Colts signing some of their players. So
Yeah, I put them as one of my bottom 5 teams just to piss you off.
I'm sure you did.
Anything else you want to say about honorable mention teams? Any big changes we haven't really talked about that you could think of?
Not really. I mean, we pretty much covered everything for the top 5. So
Yep. All right, folks, thanks for listening to an episode of Mom's Basement. This was your top 5 signing free agents. Thanks for listening.